Welcome back to the garden here in Raleigh, North Carolina. This video is going to be all about prepping for construction, reconstruction, any kind of house projects you have going on, or maybe even like a landscape contractor coming in to your job site. For years, we would do these very large landscape projects, where we have to move in lots of materials, maybe have a dumpster. We're going to have several trucks there. And so it's good to do a little bit of pre-planning, and it may go a long way in helping the landscaper or the general contractor that's working on your house, complete the project without doing damage any more damage in your garden than is necessary. We're actually getting the siding redone on the house, so all the siding's coming off of it. And so we have a lot of plants that are planted right up against the house that we're going to have to deal with. That's what we're going to see in this video. Make sure you know who's in charge of the job site. A lot of times they won't be on the job site. Frequently, when it was my landscape company, I would be out having meetings a lot of times and have some sort of supervisor on the job. Make sure you know that person. Make sure you have their number handy, and make sure you have a clear understanding, of how the job is going to take place, how long it's going to take, what they need from you. Maybe there's something that they see that you don't see that they would love to have moved out of the way before they get there. That might be helpful. We have a lot of things just brushing up against the house, and I'm going to start by pruning back a little bit of a few of the limbs on this chase tree. Then we're going to go through several steps to prepare for this project. There's a playlist on the channel called New House, and if you go back to the very first video I put up on that, it was just a walk around video. It's kind of a shaky walk around video. It was an older camera, but it shows, the very, very beginnings of this project and what it looked like before. And in that video, and it's over 3 years ago now, or right at 3 years ago, the discussion was, the siding was changing on the house, the front porch was going to change, all those things. So here we are, being a gardener, we did the garden first, and now here we are on the house. Of course, things went sky high during COVID, or it would have been done already, but we're looking forward to having that off the house. The house is going to be that blue and white color that the shed is in the back garden. So number two to think about. Number one is, again, making sure that you know who's in charge, who you can contact, and you go over some sort of plan with them. Part of that plan, number two, is to know if you're going to have a construction dumpster, make sure there's a spot for it. And here it is out here in the garden. It's not negatively impacting any of our neighbors. We'll have the driveway cleared off here by tomorrow morning. We've got some debris in it right now, but we'll have it cleared off so they can put the construction materials in the driveway. So just knowing, what they need to be able to do the job the most efficient that they can, and you're not over top of one another the whole time. Number three on the list is don't be like us and wait till the very last minute. They're starting construction tomorrow, and this is Sunday, and pulling out the big shrubs you're about to see, and pruning and moving containers, and all of it's happening on Sunday. We're out of town a ton, and the job got pushed back a couple times because they were paving the road, paving the street out here. I don't know if you could see that in that last shot, if there was any of that pavement. It's brand new pavement out there, which is nice, but it delayed everything. And then it delayed us, and here we are scrambling on the last day. So if you have some idea of the schedule, you can pace through this, because I'm doing this in August, and it's quite warm out here to be trying to get all these projects accomplished so they can work easily and efficiently tomorrow. Number four on the list is containers. We're just gathering up containers as far from the foundation as we can. The things that are easily movable, I'm just going to move them. That way I don't have to think about them. They're out of range, plus they'll all be back here together where I can water them during this upcoming project. Some of our containers are light and easy to move, and then some of them are like this big rectangle right here, which is not at all light. But I want to be able to have them come through here and be able to do this without having to work so hard. It's not just containers to move. Obviously, if there's any patio furniture that you're worried about getting damaged, getting that stuff out and away or stored in a building or something like that. Any kind of grill that you might, have up against the house, or really anything that's against where they're going to be working. Number 5 is cutting things back from the foundation. So I got a big giant hydrangea here. Actually not all that worried that some damage would happen to this thing because if you broke this off almost pretty much to the ground, it would come back. And there's going to be some plants that are like that, some plants that aren't. But most hydrangeas, it'd be sad moment, but almost all of them would come back from anything like that. But I do want to go through here and just cut this thing back out from the house a bit, so that they need a ladder here or whatever the heck they need here, that they have room for it without having to. But if they damage any more of this plant, not really. Again, I'm not that concerned about it. These are pretty daggone easy to cut, really. Now I've got a gap back here that they can work in. Number 6, you may need to move something that you're really concerned about. We have this ficus hybrid that we got as a gift when we were down in South Carolina not that long ago. It was planted over beside the porch, and I dug it up to make sure that it was going to get stepped on 1,000 times. This cast iron plant is another one that is just sitting right in a spot right up against the foundation. There's no question if somebody steps on this, which they will over the course of several days. It's a lot to ask of somebody not to step on something like this during the process. Again, it wouldn't hurt it really, but it would take a little while for it to come back. Our biggest project here is the azaleas on the front foundation. There were 8, I think, old, very, very old azaleas, possibly as old as 80 years old, something like that. And I went out and I took the electric head shears. This would not really be the best time of year to be pruning on. These are old-fashioned azaleas, so they're spring blooming azaleas. Normally we would prune those right after they bloom in the spring, and that would be the only time of year that we would have pruned them, because by the 4th of July or so, they're already, as the growth slows down, they're setting their flower buds for next spring. But I needed to cut them back because I needed to either get them out of the ground or get them cut way back and out of the way. For these guys, they've never been permanent parts of this garden. I literally said it in that very first video that they'd eventually be gone, and today is the day. So I'm giving an example here. There are 4 on one side of the porch that I said, well, I'll just dig these out and we'll put them out by the street and put them on Facebook Marketplace and see if anybody actually wants them. It's no problem at all as long as you cut them back like I did, to dig them out of the ground. Even on a summer day like this, a 75-year-old azalea that's got that much woody material will definitely come back, even no matter what kind of stress it goes through, really. As long as it gets some water between now and next spring, it'll flush back out and root into the ground. So those 4 are heading out that way. I wanted to demonstrate on the other side. Sometimes if you have leafy evergreens and somebody needs to come in and do roof work or siding work or something like that, if you have old leafy evergreens, the other side of the porch, I just cut those azaleas to the ground. There's 100% chance that they will just root sucker and come back from that. They'll probably look better than the old woody parts of the plant. So if you got old hollies and things like that, frequently you can just literally cut them to the ground. It might be time for kind of a rejuvenation pruning on them. Anyway, you can't do that with everything, but there are a lot of old leafy evergreen things that you can do that with. Those azaleas definitely count as that. I'm eventually just going to dig those out, but I wanted to demonstrate. I cut them to the ground, and those guys would do the work. And next spring, they'd be flushing out. It would be a year before they bloom because I cut the flower buds off on all likelihood. But so that was my strategy out there. Show you how to dig them out. Also show you that you can just cut them to the ground and they'll come back. The other option would have just been to skim off the backside and hopefully give them enough room to work, but or maybe I could throw some sort of sheet or towel over them, on the days that they're working. Not anything clear, not anything that'll heat up, but a sheet may have been helpful in some way. But I think overall the best thing to do is just to cut them back hard and they'll come back out of it if you're interested in keeping them. Number 7 would just be general cleanup. We built that little fence out by in the front garden across the front and across the 2 sides in a video a couple years ago. and I had some lumber left over from that, and I'm actually going to build some sort of screen around one side of this AC unit at some point, but I hadn't gotten to it, and the lumber's just sitting here. Now it needs to move so that construction can take place. So I'm just going to go around the entire envelope of the house and, pick up anything. Sometimes we're always out here filming and stuff, and sometimes we leave things in places at the end of, a project, and it's not quite complete. So this is our opportunity to go and round up all those things. Again, a little pre-planning, and I wouldn't be out here in my second set of clothes today. I had one set of clothes on when I was doing the azaleas, and then changed clothes thinking I'd be good to go to film this, and I'm already sweated through this as well. So a little pre-planning would help, and that includes number 8, which is, this channel should be called the 1,000 Uses for Mulch. One of them is to prevent compaction. Anytime you have a fairly generous layer of mulch, you can feel it when you walk through your garden, how spongy the ground is. So no matter how much walking or how much abuse, a contractor or you or anybody else is giving these beds, they respond back and pop back up rather than getting more and more and more compact. I don't want to walk in the beds. I want to walk in the beds as little as possible. But if you have to be walking in the beds, it is best to have a good thick layer of mulch. That's one of those things that would have been good to plan way back. Luckily for us, ours is already mulched. Wood chips will work too. I'll come out here on the path and Steph can follow us around. These are wood chips on this path, and you might even be able to see that. It's actually completely and totally springy underneath there with life. And any traffic I'm putting on this, my step pushes it down, but it immediately springs back up. So that's the benefit of having some sort of organic layer on top. If you follow the channel, you know how many containers we actually have. And so these steps were covered, the front garden steps were covered in containers, and all those have been placed back toward the back property line, out of the way. One other thing would be to go around and take some photos of the area, and maybe the thing that's actually going under construction. It might be good to have some photos just in case something happens, some misunderstanding. Again, our garden is such that something's going to get damaged. I mean, I know that going into tomorrow, that something on this foundation is going to get damaged, something's going to get dropped on it. It's really kind of on me. I can't expect somebody to come in here and be this delicate during a construction job. So I would never, as a landscape contractor, and all the times I spent on people's properties, at some point, accidents are going to happen. And as long as it's not major, I wouldn't hold anybody responsible for it. I'm not going to hold anybody responsible for breaking some plant that I put in a terrible position for them to be able to work. That's on me. But I will have some additional pictures of other things, the whole house and everything, just in case something goes sideways. Probably good to have those photos. Number 10, you might want to just rope off some areas. If you've got a newly planted fruit tree somewhere and you definitely just don't want anybody close to it, you could put some sort of caution tape around it, put some sort of wrapping around it, put something that says this is not a place where you go, or you can put your containers, in a circle around it, just to make sure that those are obvious areas that you'd rather not have traffic in. You'd rather not have them storing anything there or placing anything there, or, that way, and then communicate that again with whoever is in charge of the job site. If there's something that you worked hard on this spring, make it just a separate space and let them know. I talked about the mulch being good for compaction, for just having traffic in your beds. The other type of traffic you probably are going to end up with is traffic on your lawn, and they do make those mats, that help prevent the compaction so badly that the machines can ride across. So make sure you request that, even if they say, we'll just destroy that piece of lawn and then we'll come back and resod it later. They will compact that soil big time underneath it. So you're really better off, even if it was going to ultimately be resodded, and having those lawn mats, rolled out so machines can go back and forth across it. You may also want to have some tarps on hand. There are a couple shrubs that I don't want to dig out and I can't prune back. Some of my conifers, I told you I can prune the azalea to the ground and the azalea will come back. My conifers won't necessarily do that. I also don't want to be hacking on them right this minute. So I've got a couple conifers around the foundation that I'm probably just going to throw a tarp over. Again, not anything clear, not anything that's going to get super hot underneath during the day. A sheet's probably the best thing, honestly, to throw across it. And then they can see a big, bright white sheet that there must, and tell them what's under it. And when they go during the evening, you can pull it off at night. Again, pre-planning is probably good because I'm going to spend a lot of time today making sure this is ready for this project to start tomorrow. Number 12 is back around to communication. Communication, I think, is the most important thing. We have obvious paths around this house. We left when you're planning your landscape, and if you back up in time, having clear paths to do construction and do work in the future is important. I would do landscape jobs where somebody put a wooden fence around their back garden and they only put a gate on the right-hand side. They didn't put a gate on the left-hand side. So I had to charge for that to go that much further with some mulch, that kind of thing. We have a very intentional circle around this garden. So we won't have to, but if you don't, you need to communicate how you would like things to move, to move through your property in a way that makes, that makes the most sense, and do that, leading up to the job, not when they get there in the morning. But again, through when you're thinking about garden design, think about garden maintenance, okay? And how you're going to maintain it in the future, how you're going to get mulch back there, how you're going to get plants in and out of there, how you're going to move containers around like you just saw me doing, how you're going to work out there. And that will also be helpful to anyone else who has to come to your property to work as well. So there you go. There's some of the things we're doing on a Sunday before a project starts on Monday. Hopefully it's fairly transformational to the entire garden, to putting this project. We still have lots of things to do. There's a patio under construction back here. There's other things that I have said that I was going to do over these 3 years that I realize are still on the list, but this was one of the biggest ones. It's getting the exterior of the house brought up, and modernized here. And excited to have that going on. So thank you guys for following along.